what would you say if I said that I could bring them back?
I guess I'd say I never thought of that.
Well, alright, hold tight, you might wanna stand back, because one small John is coming intact.
St. John forward, spitting out some more words, fully intact, jacked, ready to rap and attack. Small John on your lawn, living like a gnome, hit you with my lyrics like a bullet to your dome.
Tonight when he comes up here, he's either gonna kill or he's gonna suck. But there's no in between for Mr. John Forward.
Oh, well, I didn't know any of that.
Well, that's what I've been trying to say the whole time.
Mr. John Forward is here on the microphone. I need to turn up the headphones a little bit. I need to be able to hear myself, and I always forget which knob it is. This is all information that you don't need to know. We don't need to have a podcast explaining possible technical difficulties that you don't even need to be aware of. But this is St. John Forward Radio, back live in the studio. Pre-record last week, but we're here. In case you're wondering, I'm still off the pot, you guys. Another week down. It's been what it is. Luckily, I even survived an entire bachelor party in Nova Scotia this weekend with many weed smoking fellas, and did not fall off the wagon yet. I'd like to be able to say that this was a huge feat on my end, and that it was. I'm not going to say it was easy. I kind of thought about if I could justify doing it once, and I wouldn't even have to tell anybody. But I didn't want to have to come on the radio here and say, well, I gave up on it already. Well, it wouldn't even have been a giving up on it. It's okay if I fell off the wagon. It's not like with like full-blown alcoholism, with one sip is enough to kind of send you careening over the cliff again. I don't think that's the case. I could have probably done it once and then just continued on with the quitting, but I'm a stubborn man, and that's why I have to tell people that I'm doing it, because even if nobody cares whether or not I fall off the wagon, I just want to save face. So if nothing else, I wanted to be able to say I made it through the weekend. And but the people I surround myself, the comedians that I've run into at shows in the meantime, and my group of friends that we went to Nova Scotia this weekend, nobody's peer pressuring me. I just told them what my deal is. I survived a smoky game of Dungeons and Dragons last week too. Again, there was some mild temptation, but nobody's throwing it in my face. They either just say okay, or sometimes they want to know why, and I explain it to the best of my ability. I don't have a great reason. I just feel like I don't have a great reason not to. So I had one listener that I'm not sure if he'd want to be named, so I'm not going to. He sent me a message with some, or maybe I should read the explanation. So he tells me that in his experience, that psychosis is a concoction of these symptoms, which he sent me some pictures of above, which I'll get to, and weed is kind of a temporary psychosis in his opinion, and I'm pretty on board with that. And he sent me a list of symptoms of psychosis, which some of which I think would apply to me in general, and more so probably when I'm smoking. Some positive symptoms like delusions, false personal beliefs that are not part of reality. That's definitely a thing. Not like too outlandish. I'm usually pretty flexible. If I find out new information, I'm willing to change my mind, but it doesn't stop me from coming up with stories. Hallucinations, not unless I'm doing some psychedelics, and that's on purpose. Disorganized thinking, unable to think straight. Organizing thoughts is difficult, making it impossible to communicate clearly with others. You listen to this show, so I'll leave that up to you to decide. unable to connect thoughts into logical sequences. Thoughts are often blocked or become fragmented. That's an issue when I'm writing. I'm not sure if that's a psychosis thing, but maybe. Agitation, being emotionally disturbed or excited, that definitely happens. Trying to seem very important. Grandiosity. Believe that they are powerful, wealthy, very intelligent, famous, or have special powers. Definitely not. I'm St. John's number 2 stand-up comedian. What else do we got here? Suspiciousness, being untrusting and guarded. Might think they're being watched, followed, persecuted, or conspired against. Maybe a touch of that. Hostility, acting unfriendly and showing ill feelings towards others. Behaving in abusive, sarcastic, and difficult manner. Maybe. Some negative symptoms, lack of initiative, lack of energy or desire or motivation to start or do anything. Not so much. Social withdrawal, absorbed in own thoughts and senses. I don't think to an unreasonable extent. I'm an introvert and I like to spend time in my head, but I try to be social. Apathy. Not so much. Lack of emotion or interest in things normally considered important. I do have kind of a I'm not very good at expressing positive emotions. When good things happen, I'm just expecting, like, yeah, it should have. Why should I get too excited about it? So maybe that's a weed thing. Emotional unresponsiveness, lack of normal feelings, absolutely. May feel less connected emotionally to what's going on around them. Less emotionally responsive to their surroundings, for sure. May feel very little pleasure doing things that are normally enjoyed. That depends on what it is. Slow speech and actions. Not ringing a bell. Concrete thinking, strong attitudes and beliefs that may seem unreasonable to others. Thoughts may be repetitive and pushy. Ooh, maybe. You're talking my language. What else? We got movements may slow down or stop. Unconcerned with grooming and hygiene, not so much, but gave me some things to think about. That's some stuff that came from mental health and addiction services, and weed is fun, but not always a great thing. My concern originally was that I would just replace it with something else, that I would end up drinking more to overcompensate. I definitely drank too much at the bachelor party, but even that was a fraction of what the other people partook in, which doesn't excuse it. I guess if we want to talk numbers, I had 10 to 12 drinks, I think, between 6 p.m. and 2 a.m. on the first night, which is like a maritime baby bottles worth. Who knows? I don't know what. I was looking for like a really good expression to coin there, but it just didn't happen. Maybe the weeds blocked that part of my brain. But I don't think it's going to be the case. I think, well, the second night, because I was hungover, I only had, I think, three or four drinks, and that was fine. And I think that's the normal situation. I was worried that I would have to drink more to feel drunk, which, it's a little bit probably, but I don't know. I don't think that I enjoy alcohol enough for that to become a full-on replacement. Like with weed, I don't trust myself to cut back. I thought about maybe if I treated weed like I do alcohol, where I only have a few drinks like once every couple of weeks. If I could treat weed the same way, then that would be okay, but I enjoy smoking more than I enjoy drinking, so like I would not like getting drunk as often as I used to enjoy getting high, so it's not quite the same thing. So I don't think I can trust myself to keep to that kind of a once every 2 weeks regiment. And as mentioned before, I'm not real good at setting rules for myself. I'm sure I'm going to break them. I could say only going to do it on weekends, or only going to do it after a show, or only do it when I'm watching a movie. I'm just going to end up watching more movies, I think, is what's going to happen. So easier to shut her down. Maybe someday in the future we'll reevaluate and see if there's a healthy reasonable way to partake in it, but I like it too much to not do it several times a week, so shutting her down. And guess I'm gonna shut down this part of the conversation before I forget. St. John Forward Radio and No Jokes Barred t-shirts have been available on tpublic.com. Just do a search for No Jokes Barred or John Forward. I think it will come up in there. They've been available for a little while now. Not exactly selling like hotcakes. They're definitely more expensive than when I had them printed locally, but the upside is that you can get these shirts in whatever size and color combination you want. You can get it printed out on coffee cups, baby onesies. You can get tank tops, lady shirts, man shirts, big fat person shirts, hoodies, and if you're concerned about the cost, there is a sale coming up. My particular store is going to be on sale between September 12th and 16th. That's 30% off, and so that's $14 for a t-shirt, $30 for crew necks, $20 for a phone case, and way more. You can just look at the page and go through all that stuff. 30%. Anyway, let's get to some music. My guest Brian Godsoe is running a little bit late, but hopefully he'll be back in time. So I was just going to throw this playlist on shuffle, but I've had this one longish song in my list because I liked it, and I didn't realize how long the song was when I added it to the playlist. But since I might need a few minutes to kill waiting for Mr. Brian Godsoe to crawl in here, I'm going to play it, and if he shows up momentarily, then we'll shut it down and get started with the Godsoe on St. John Forward Radio. Here's some Melvins.
Don't forget to
Just a PSA to the listeners out there. Don't forget to breathe. You're listening to Say No Forward Radio. I'm joined by guest Brian Godsoe.
Not out of breath or nothing.
No, just came up the stairs.
Yeah, I rushed here as fast as I could.
They don't have, so the listeners know, if you're not familiar with the campus, we do not have one of those little lifts that you can just sit on and it carries you up the railing here. He used his legs and everything. Or did you crawl?
I tried to drive my scooter up the stairs, but that was a no-go. So I had some poor student carry me. And, I hope this campus is insured against that. These are all great fat jokes, by the way. These are tremendous.
Proper lifting techniques.
he lifted with his legs, not his back.
The station is handicap accessible. You could have come in like the door, the security door, and come across the little overpass thing if you wanted to get your rascal scooter in here.
Well, then no one would have carried me, and then
Yeah. Well, there's nothing wrong with a little of that human touch.
I don't get it very often.
No,
I'm so lonely.
Speaking of fat jokes, we just recently had the roast battle, round 1 down at McGill's.
I think that officially concludes our list storyline too, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I think that's I was surprised that you didn't. I had that joke about the list like kind of cocked and loaded, expecting that it was going to be part of your set, but you didn't give it to me. Did you anticipate that I was going to be anticipating? Or did you just? I don't know. I don't know what you could have said.
I guess a little bit after your, by the way, excellent promo that you cut, the Mankind promo, which that's when I knew it was beaten, actually. Like, I remember coming in...
when I plagiarized WWF legend Mick Foley.
Well, it was homage, we'll say, but...
I didn't try to hide the fact.
And then my weak-ass, response to that, which was just, milquetoast at best. Yeah. I'm not sure that's how you pronounce that. I'm sure Arf will tell me
I think that's
later.
right. I think that's right.
But no, I remember even sitting down in the side area, saying I think you've already won. And then your presentation, you got into my head and into my dreams.
I did. If you want to see the actual footage, you can find it on my YouTube channel or my Facebook. I've got the re-edited, just the John Forward versus Brian Godsoe section, but on ENSD's YouTube page, Groove Hill Studios, you can find the full length, or I think I put the link to the full length one in the description for my video. All you need to see is ours, though.
And I imagine it'll probably be somewhere associated when you post this later in the podcast version.
Yeah, actually, yeah. If I remember, I'll put that in the show notes too. But it was a fun night overall.
Yeah.
I was unlike last time. I feel like every round there was at least a little bit of disagreement with the judges. I feel like every matchup this time was a straight 3-0 beat for the judges.
Yeah, come to think of it, that was I guess a little bit odd upon reflection, but
yeah, and
I tend to agree with them as well too. I think the matches when they were called the way that they should have been called in a sense.
And it was nothing with the setup. I don't think there was any uneven, unfair pairings.
Right.
I think everybody, both sides in each of the rounds had a chance. But just I don't know. Well, except for Ian Esty, obviously. But that was no surprise. But he won. Did he win 2 rounds last time, or just the one?
Just the one, and I can't remember how.
He won against Sam Laidman, and I think that was more of his responses were good. His actual jokes less so. But Sam, I don't know if he just if he phoned it in, just thinking that it was easy pickings or what. Who knows? But that's the thing with the roast battle. You can't underestimate your opponent. There was some upsets last time. I don't think anybody was expecting Matt Copeland to make it as far as he did.
Matt Copeland, he blew me away.
Yeah. So who else were? What were the other matchups? We started out with was John Nesbitt and Tyson. Was that round? Or no? Well, anyway, that wasn't round one, but we can discuss that.
That was the other most memorable one for sure. But,
yeah, John Nesbitt killed it. He's coming along pretty well. Like when he first started coming around, and he was just kind of a comedy super fan, and then all of a sudden he wanted to start doing sets. I kind of was like, oh, this should be good.
He's got a certain style to him too that like I appreciate because nobody else is doing it. Yeah. Like it's mostly just he's batshit, but
but he's I don't know. He's got an interesting point of view, and it's not as slipshod as I would have thought. He seems to have put like some effort into it, and he's still pretty green. I don't know how long he's been doing it now, but always reliable. I don't think it's been a while since I've seen. I don't know if I've ever seen him have like a full bomb. Have you?
Not since like the very early days, and even then, I don't think it was a full bomb.
Even there was some fun to be had at just the ludicrousness, the ludicrosity of the situation, even if the jokes weren't landing quite. That should be the name of his first album, John Nesbitt, Ludicrosity.
That was just gonna be like Shapeshifters Live.
Yeah. But no, he's pretty solid, and I've thrown him up just when I needed some extra time to round out a show at No Jokes Barred, and he's there. He's always good to go wherever you want to stick him for 5 minutes, and usually does pretty decent.
Well, so, he did a charity show not that long ago, and apparently he knocked it out of the park. Yeah.
I hadn't heard the reviews for that one, but I'll take your word for it. Tyson, on the other hand, that was a mess.
I think the best part of Tyson's performance, it wasn't even like at the show, but like those weird promos they would throw up, where like he actually revealed a little bit about his life. Like apparently Tyson lives at like a Pier 1 Imports or something like that, where like a display for like a table, and he's listening to like the music that you put on in like elevators or to put your kids to sleep.
Yeah, I only watched one of them. There was a lot of output, and they were very long, and I was trying to get my jokes written, so I might have to go back to the backlogs there and check those out. But I don't know. Well, Tyson can be good. It's rare, and when it is good, it's like good enough that you are willing to endure the 5 terrible spots that he needs to get through to get there.
My favorite set he ever did was that second one at the R-Bar where he brought on the keyboard and he was making up songs based on all the comics on the bill.
That was he sang like some sort of parody of the Cheers theme song, only it was James Mullinger related somehow. I don't remember exactly how it went.
It was fantastic.
It was too long. That was I think you hosted that one. That was after that was during the Fringe Festival when we were doing the Hoveland show, and I wasn't sure if I was going to get there on time.
The one where I did a very tasteful Gord Downey dance.
Yeah. He also had I enjoyed his set. Did you see the banana phone set at the R-Bar?
I don't remember.
If you don't remember, you didn't see it, but he had a pretty solid set there. That I think that was. I think he was talking to me like for the week before that, and was telling me that he was really hunkering down and was gonna like take this seriously and start putting together some solid material. And then I saw him do like a Club Rewind show, and it was just awful. And I think a week later was the R-Bar, and I was expecting more of that, but he had a completely different set, and it was solid.
No, you can never tell with the guy. He's also my favorite terrible host as well too.
Yeah, that was pretty fun to watch when he hosted McGill's. I don't know if I would hand it over to him again, but
I'm definitely gonna get him to do another one.
Yeah, with the music cues, I did enjoy the Nez bitch tattoo on the stomach during the roast. That was good. Who else do we have? The first round was James Hovey versus Ian Esty, and that was a wash.
That was a beating.
Yeah. And I can't even. I have to watch it again. I don't remember. I can't tell if James's material was just really good or if Ian just set the bar so low that it seemed like it was. I'm not sure.
I think Ian had some good like comebacks, like good in between on the off the fly stuff. Like I remember his material really not hitting, but Like he could deflect things.
Well, that's the thing with Ian. I think the less hard he tries, the funnier he gets. So, like, the off-the-cuff responses wasn't prepared, but, like, when he sits down and is like, this is a funny thing to say, never.
In that case, he should be just hysterical all the damn time.
Yeah.
Nah, I'm just kidding. He tries hard most of what he does.
Yeah, I don't know. There's some way, and he just doesn't do it often enough. I think he just pops out and does it, like, once a month here and there, and
yeah,
I don't know.
I think it's, like, a super priority for him.
Who knows? Whatever.
He's the video guy.
But he's a fine fellow, and
yeah.
we like him. Who else do we have? The other round was
Danger and
Dan Terrio and Drake Tobias.
That's right. Danger and Drake.
Yeah, that was a solid one. Again, a wash. Drake didn't. I don't think it was like embarrassing, but just Dan just edged him out every single time. I think.
Yeah.
I think Drake, if he. I don't know. If the matchups were different, I think Drake could have moved on to the next round. He just that particular one. Yeah, that one I only saw on video because I wasn't really paying attention because I was getting ready for my glorious entrance into 2 hours.
Hey, you wouldn't tell me at all what you had planned, and I'm glad you didn't because I didn't see that coming at all. Like you walked into the Freddy rap.
It was Nightmare on My Street. Which, I was trying to, in retrospect, somebody said I should have had, like, the 1-2, Freddy's Coming For You, like the little girls. But I wanted to pick a song that would be easy to find. I assume that, like, just a Spotify playlist was being put together, and I didn't want to make anybody go hunting for, like, the video that they had to do, like, an audio grab from or something like that. But, in retrospect, could have been a better choice in the song, but it didn't matter anyway because I murdered you.
Oh, you tore me to shreds, literally and figuratively. Like, for those who haven't seen the video yet, John spent some time drawing a visage of me and put my head on top of it, and then Freddy clawed it, and I just about died laughing when it happened.
Yeah, I was trying to think of something Freddy related that I could tie into the set, and like the most logistically easy thing that wouldn't require some sort of intense special effects would be like from part 5 where the guy turns into like the piece of paper of himself and Freddy just tears him apart.
Good God, John, only you would remember that.
It was the comic book guy that
I remember it now.
It was followed by do you remember Super Freddy?
Yeah
on the skateboard.
Ugh.
Bastard son of 1,000 maniacs. Or wait, faster than your local madman. I forget what the other lines were. He had a few of them.
That same director went on to direct The Delightful Predator 2 as well. So
yeah.
Stephen Hopkins.
Wow. That part 5 I feel is underrated. That one doesn't have a good reputation. That's the first one I saw though, so that might be painting my opinion of it. I don't know.
Well, 4 and 5 are like they're fun as they are. The only one that I think is total dreck is Freddy's Dead.
I used to think 4 was the worst because that's when they just stopped trying to be scary. I think 5 had moments. But 4 was like full on catchphrases, Freddy on the beach with sunglasses. Rewatching the series as an adult, Freddy's Dead is just irredeemingly bad.
The only problem that series has is like nothing will ever be as good as Dream Warriors.
Is that 3?
Yeah.
You know what? I do. That is definitely the highlight. I think, honestly, my favorite is probably New Nightmare, just because...
Oh, that's a good call, actually.
It doesn't really fit in. And actually, if we want to pick like a traditional Freddy movie, that one kind of doesn't count. Freddy versus Jason was a solid Nightmare on Elm Street movie in general, despite the fact that Freddy never actually got to kill anybody. Yeah,
that was more of a Friday the 13th movie, really.
I don't know. I felt it was a good mix of both. I enjoyed it. I remember seeing that and getting super stoned and watching it. And then we had to drive out to Wellsford to meet up with a friend who had a camping spot, which was just like a 20-minute hike through woods with no path.
Yeah.
And just getting stuck. And when we pulled up, there was like a lake that had like a little shack that was kind of out in the water, and we were super stoned and found it, and it seemed like Jason's shack, and we're like, oh gosh, what's gonna happen?
And then the one of the girls from Destiny's Child showed up, and everything just went off the rails.
Yeah, that section would not fly in 2018. I think. Do you remember what the one-liner was for Kelly Rowland?
Oh, yeah. How sweet, dark meat.
Yeah, but you know, I don't think people should be looking to Freddy Krueger for their cues on acceptable things to say. He also murdered a bunch of people,
including children, while he was alive before he was a dream demon.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on part 2? That's kind of the redheaded stepchild of the series.
I was just about to bring that up, actually, because part 2 is like this weird outlier that, like, I like it because it's weird. Like, it's this weird side art project.
Yeah. I don't think it's fair to begrudge it because it doesn't follow the correct mythology, because the mythology hadn't been established really until part 3.
Yeah, they didn't know what they had at that point. Like, the first one was going to be a one-off. They got a director who had a very distinct idea of what he wanted to do with it. Like, he wanted to make a movie about what it's like to be in the closet, essentially. And I think he even said so in interviews.
Yeah, I watched the Never Sleep Again, like the 3-hour documentary on the series, and the writer was like, I can't believe nobody noticed how like homosexual this movie is in every sense of.
That shower scene where the coach is a leather daddy, like,
yeah, he meets the coach in like a leather daddy bar, and then like straps him up like naked and like whips him with towels. It's just, and every time that he starts making out with his girlfriend, like Freddy, who represents his hidden homosexuality, literally bursts out from inside of him and like ends the situation. Yeah, it's a great coming of age, coming out of the closet.
That's exactly the kind of Freddy movie that would fly in 2018.
Yeah, I think we need to revisit that with the 2018 woke lens.
I think that's what kind of saves it, though. Is it's interesting in what it is. Like, it's obviously not the best Freddy movie, and like you said, it doesn't follow the archetype because there was an archetype at that point.
Yeah, like Freddy comes into the real world, like, and just I don't know, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
I think that was the beginning. I don't think there was many catchphrases at all in the first one. Freddy's probably only in the first one for like 15 minutes.
Although that one's still, like, as far as
that
like
one's
a scary
genuinely
movie,
scary for sure.
It's very effective.
Well, even like the opening scene of like Freddy narrating and like the little girl with the scratched out eyes and Freddy versus Jason, it was pretty unsettling when I watched it. That actually settled the argument because I was trying to convince my friend that like Freddy was a child molester. They just dialed that back in the movies, but that's like straight up what he was.
Yeah, that's the lore. They burnt his house down with him in it because he molested and killed children.
Yeah, I think right before it came out, there was like a big molestation thing that was big in the news, so they decided to scale that back and, make it more palatable. He's only a child murderer, everybody. It's okay.
They made him a full-on molester in the remake, I hear. I didn't see the remake. I kind of refused. But.
It wasn't bad. It's got a bad reputation, but, I think they played with a little bit more. Like, there was a brief moment where you were like, maybe he didn't do it. And that would explain why he's so mad. That, like, he was falsely accused and, like, the parents killed him and stuff. And then he came back and like, well, I'm gonna kill them now. Like that's an interesting thing, but that was like raised and then immediately thrown out the window within like 10 minutes in the movie, so there wasn't any real tension there. They found his like creepy stash of like Polaroids, so. And
you can't replace Robert Englund. Like the Jason or the Friday 13th remake and even the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remakes, they kind of worked for me because they just felt like a natural extension of the series.
Right.
But like they've gone through several different Jasons, several different Leatherfaces.
If you're going to replace Freddy, I feel like Jackie Earle Haley is the best choice.
Oh yeah,
I liked what he did with the character. He did this thing where he kind of swished his like blades on the two fingers together and made this really creepy sound. The makeup was kind of silly, but I don't know. I think it was.
I saw CGI effects where they were basically trying to recapture something from the original movie, like the part where Nancy's sleeping, and then you see him come through the wall.
Yeah,
and that was all like practical effects, but like the CGI scene that I saw, and I think it was in a Red Letter Media video, it just looks so hokey and just fake.
Yeah, I kind of wish I thought it was a good start, and I felt like part 2 of that would have been much better. Like they didn't do a whole lot. The dream sequences were kind of left a lot to be desired, which is kind of the main thing. But
yeah, that's why you go to see a Freddy movie.
Yeah, but let's take a quick break in a station ID. Do you want to set up the song that you've selected for this evening?
I just kind of picked it out of a hat. I like Black Flag. I think this is one of my favorite Black Flag songs as well too. It's before Rollins. Yeah. The guy that he's an off, and I think Circle Jerks.
I'm not sure the backstory of that guy.
It's I should know his name too, but I don't know. Whatever. It's a good song. It's Wasted by Black Flag.
Google it.
There's nothing going on in St. John.
It's so boring here. There's only one mall.
Hey now, if you feel the mall is your life, check it out. There are community groups, cultural organizations, artists of all kinds, small businesses, and many more, making things happen in the poor city, and Local FM wants to share them with you.
Tune in here to hear all your community news and events. And if you are somebody making things happen, email your listings, events, news, and more to psa@cfmh.ca today.
Whoa, what's that coming through your speakers? It's Brian Godsoe on Local FM 107.3 in St. John at localfm.ca.
Drunk up, I was so napped out, I was out of my head. I was so wasted. I was wasted.
And we're back already. That was Wasted by Black Flag. I was just going to look up. I mostly know that song from... Have you ever heard there was like a West Memphis 3 benefit record that Rollins put out in like the early 2000s?
Yeah, I think or maybe I'm thinking of a different one, because I know there was a few that were there, but the guy that was the lead singer for the Misfits for a while,
Jerry Only?
No, not Jerry and not Glenn Danzig, but during the the comeback period, I'm Michael Graves.
Oh right, okay, yeah, that's right.
And I think it was a compilation too, because he came to Fredericton. Like the first year that I moved there, they used to have this place called the Musiplex.
Yeah, and
he played a set there that went on for like a few hours. Like he just kind of jammed by the end of it. But,
yeah, I think this is a different thing. This was all Black Flag songs, where they had like a studio band and they called in just a bunch of different guest vocalists to pick like whatever their favorite Black Flag song was, and they just lay it down. Wasted was sung by Keith Morris, who or wait, is that the original singer?
Yeah, Keith Morris.
Okay, all right. I guess he must have redone that song for that one.
John took his own advice and he Googled it.
Yeah, but yeah, like Chuck D does "Rise Above" and Henry Rollins does a bunch of just like remakes of Black Flag songs himself.
Chuck D doing "Rise Above" sounds amazing.
I think it's mostly Henry Rollins and Chuck D just does the chorus, but Iggy Pop does "Fix Me." Cedric from Mars Volta does "I've Had It." Nick Olivieri, the old bass player that got kicked out of Queens of the Stone Age, does "Jealous Again." Hank Williams III does No Values, which is really good. Mike Patton does Six Pack. Ice-T, Police Story. Tom Araya from Slayer. Lemmy does Thirsty and Miserable, which is appropriate. But yeah, it's a solid album.
Man, I gotta listen to that.
Yeah.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah, so what else are we going to talk about? I feel like with the roast, I may have painted myself into a corner. I've set the bar pretty high. It's going to depend who I'm against in the second round, how much enthusiasm I'm going to have for it.
Yeah, I wish I could tell you who that's going to be already. Like, someone more organized probably would know.
Yeah.
Although we're doing the second
there's
half.
still another round, so
Yeah.
I assume that's going to play out, and you're just going to look at who the 8 winners are and come up with logical matchups. I think that's better than just doing a straight bracket where you're automatically going against whoever, because I don't know. I felt like this was a good one. Each of the 4, at least in the first round, where we looked at it and the matchups kind of made sense.
Yeah.
And I feel like if you get locked into a bracket, that's going to be less so. I think more than like making a fair tournament, I think it should just be focusing on putting on the best show possible. So I think that you should look at who all the winners are from both rounds and figure out what the good pairings would be. Because, I'm not... I wouldn't... it wouldn't be much of a matchup if I got paired with somebody that I barely know.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure I could do... I could figure it out. They probably wouldn't have anything on me either, although I've got 8 years worth of podcasts that you guys can pour over if you want to. But
it's more fun when it's people that really know each other super well. So
yeah, I think going forward in the future, I definitely think we should let this tournament play out and having a winner. But I wasn't sure what I thought of it at first, but the more I think about it, it makes more sense. Like the newest season of Roast Battle was just individual matches, and I think that's been going on kind of anyway. So I think maybe every now and then we do one of these tournaments, but I think it's more fun if it's just kind of a one-off. Somebody challenges somebody, and then we make it happen. That way.
Yeah, do that like once every couple of months or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. But I knew going against you, I knew you'd be doing like the wrestling promos and that you'd have some sort of intro thing, so I felt like I needed to compete with that.
Oh, my favorite thing about your promo too, like aside from the promo itself, but at the end when you had like Brian Godsoe 1983 to 2018, you spelled my name wrong.
Did I? That wasn't on purpose.
You left the E off the end of it.
All right, good enough.
And it was the best part of the whole thing. Like, you didn't respect me enough to spell my name, even though the fact that your character was clearly obsessed with me.
Yeah, no, that was an unintended extra burn in there, so I'll take it. But now I've created the expectation, so whoever's matched up against me is going to go out of their way to have some sort of outlandish intro to compete.
Oh, I hope so. And yeah, guys, if you're listening and you're in this thing, enter from the back. Give the song time to breathe.
Yeah.
Like, people hear like da-da-da-da, and like that was it.
Well, and we need a better DJ. Johns Cove, good comedian, not so great as a live DJ mix man.
Well, I think I'll probably be filling those shoes anyways, because he's going to be roasting this Sunday.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it could have been louder. I don't know. Maybe it's just you can't tell from up there. I felt like how did it sound when I did the sound when it was just you against Sam, and I kind of started the song off a bit for the intro, and then like cranked it up when the entrance actually started, and I thought that was amped up the crowd.
Yeah,
and it helped that I chose the correct songs each time and faded them out instead of just shutting it off.
That only happened the once.
Yeah, we heard a lot of Magdalena.
Yeah, that was on purpose, actually.
Or, well, did John specifically pick the same, or Tyson pick the same song as somebody else? Or, yeah, did two people pick that? I know there was one that was a mistake, and then somebody picked the same song again.
Magdalena was John's choice, and then Tyson, picked it as well. And I think he had intended to pick something different, but I think he forgot. He probably ate a handful of mushrooms or something, went off on a wonderful adventure. So we just kept it, and it was hilarious.
Yeah. Well, and yeah, I felt like I was prepared to lose. I wanted to try my best. Why my glasses keep fogging up and I'm leaking from my eyes that you guys don't need to know. I'm just crying because I misspelled Godsoe's name and I feel just awful about it.
As you should.
Yeah, I felt like I kind of blew my wad this first time out. I'm gonna have to step up my game for the next one because somebody else is gonna try to. And I don't know what I'm gonna do. I can't just do various horror people again because people are gonna be expecting it. So
I think you should do Leprechaun next.
I'll come out on a pogo stick.
You'll never get me old.
Yeah, I'll come up with some cheesy pun and a rhyme. But I think I want to wait and see who I'm up against, and I think that will inform what kind of an intro I have, I guess. And I'll probably cut another promo. I don't know if I'll probably steal another official wrestling one. I don't know if I want to do another Mankind or if I want to pick somebody else or.
Ideally,
or write something myself like a chump.
I'd say, given the strength of the promos, if he comes through this next round, I think that I would like to, and you know, this is by no means like a final ruling or anything. I got to talk to John, and I got to see who comes out at the end, but I think I'd like to see you go against Travis.
Yeah, I kind of assumed that I'm going to be going up against the winner of Travis versus Dan, but I also think, like, Troy's in the next round. Troy and I know each other well enough that...
Yeah, that would actually
be decent. And Adam, too.
Yeah. Actually, Adam that'd be pretty amazing.
Yeah, so in any of them, like, I would be prepared for it. I don't know what kind of big, showy intro that Troy Haynes would do. But maybe.
I feel like the only thing Troy should do is come in on like the Terminator music with those aviator glasses. Yeah. It's like dun 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 dun.
Yeah, so I've got in my mind who the potential foes are going to be, and I've got a couple ideas about a few people that I'm not going to buckle down and get into writing full-on jokes anytime until I know who I'm up against. I don't want to waste my time.
Just got like a burn book, like in Mean Girls.
Yeah, every time I'm scrolling through Facebook and somebody posts something stupid, I'm like, oh. You shouldn't have said that. I'm gonna
let's go into the bank
and bite you like a rabid dog.
Oh, yeah, you better watch out for that, I'm coming at you. Yeah, I'm going to remember everything that you said, no matter how stupid it is. Yeah.
Yeah, and Mankind wasn't too hard of a thing to pull. All I had to do was yell, I guess. I don't know how much acting was involved.
You could probably do Ultimate Warrior. Oh, man, you know, you should totally do Ultimate Warrior. Just like grease paint on your face. Get, like, crappy streamers and tie them to your arms.
Yeah, something like that. But I kind of wanted, like, the people that I liked were the more supernatural people. So, like an Undertaker, but then there'd have to be a pallbearer, and that would be Undertaker generally just stands in the back and broods, from what I remember.
Who's more supernatural than the man from Parts Unknown, screaming about the blood moon and the plane that's going to crash into
Hulkamania? I was like Ultimate Warrior wasn't one of my guys back in the day. I think I don't know. I remember him being around, but I don't remember like. I remember liking like Papa Shango. I don't remember. Did he ever do promos? Probably. They all did.
I'd have to look it up. Like I'm sure there's a handful of Papa Shango.
Or like
promos.
I could do like a Razor Ramon maybe.
the toothpick.
Chico, throw the toothpick at the camera.
I don't respect you, Chico.
I don't know if I can do an accent though. I'd have to work on it. Mankind, I can just scream and yell a lot.
Hulk Hogan's pretty easy too. It's like, you know what I think, brother?
Yeah, I could do Hogan. Yeah, I don't know. But as far as an intro, I have no idea what I'm going to do. I'm going to have to wait and see who I'm up against to do that. I don't know.
Now we got some prime matchups coming up. I'll let's go over that really quickly because I'm actually really excited about this particular bill. We already know, and I think that's going to be the main event. Is going to be Travis versus Dan. But
they've already roasted each other, though.
Yeah, a couple of times technically, like through.
Yeah, well, they did. They were both on the roast of John Forward, but they were also matched up against each other in the last roast battle tournament.
But then they were dealing with Travis Boyce. They weren't dealing with TJ the Man Boyce.
Is he going to stick with that?
I hope so.
Yeah.
And obviously we got that, but we also have John Scove Nielsen versus Austin Hill, which I think is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
We got Shan versus Joe Butler, which, that's going to be no holds barred. And Adam Landry versus Troy Haynes, of course, which actually that might be the one that I'm the most curious about.
Yeah, I don't know what that's going to look at, and Adam probably isn't going to know until the day of. Yeah, but I don't know. I don't know how well they know each other. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. Like, I don't ever remember a case where they've been in the same room at the same time.
Troy did a scene for the new season of Hard Times, so there's at least that. But I don't know. Just being at shows together, who knows? But that should be exciting. So we're gonna do every 2 weeks, I guess, until it's done. So
the second
the next one will probably be the whole next round, because there'll be half the matchup. So there'll be 8 people left. So just the 4, and then what? The finals, or it'll be a separate week.
We'll probably have the finals a separate week. We'll have, since there's less people roasting, probably more comics rounding out the show at the beginning.
Yeah, I don't like the idea of having like the double header where you've got to write for like 3 people just because you're not sure who the
I don't think that's fair.
No, and again, if the goal is to if it's a pure competition, then maybe that's an extra skill that people should be tested on. But if we want to put on a good show, I think.
Yeah,
give people a chance to think about it and write and prepare something. Like, you're not going to have 2 different crazy intro like walk-ons. That would be kind of overkill.
Yeah, no, that would just I don't like the sound of that at all. And like, you're not going to get someone's best if they have to do it in like 5 minutes or whatever too. Like, they just have to write it up on the fly like that. So
yeah, and I feel like the second batch, like when there was the double up, where people were just kind of like, I don't know, I don't have anything, and people were like scrambling like during the intermission to figure something out for it.
Yeah.
So how's it feel to be getting your baby back? You originally took over the Sunday afternoons.
Well, it was actually a little bit apprehensive about it at first, because there was some talk about me just sort of taking it on solo, and I was like, nah, I don't really want to do that. But when John came to me and like he wanted to do it with me, like I felt a lot more comfortable. Like, John's a great guy, super organized, he knows what he's doing, and it's good to like have somebody to sort of share the load of all of this as well too.
Yeah, so. I know. Heavy's the head that wears the crown. But I know. I just part of me is a control freak, so I don't want to hand over any of mine. But it's nice that if I have something planned on a No Jokes Barred night, that I can just get you or RF, or there's opportunities for other people if you feel like you can handle wrangling that room. It's it takes something. It's not just a comedian skill. You need to be able to shut down them regulars if it's an issue. But
that's kind of a gift I've acquired for the most part, anyways. Like,
and just keeping the show moving, I guess, and sticking to times. Like, I think the first time that I didn't host it myself was the 1-year anniversary, and the Hoveland guys were hosting it. And the whole time I was just like looking at my watch and like, oh no. And it got to be like it was just taking way too long, and we hadn't had the intermission yet.
Yeah.
And at the beginning of the show, I was worried that like people dropped out, and I didn't know if I was going to be able to fill 15 minutes of material myself. So I was just telling people like, oh, you can go longer. And then people went too long, and then the Hoveland ridiculousness took way too long, and
abject chaos.
Yeah, it was. But it was a fun time, and expecting an orderly show for the 1-year anniversary of the R Bar was a foolish thing to expect. It was a disaster, and it was the present that I didn't know that I wanted.
Well, the 4-year like just shows how far like that's come anyways. Like, that's
Yeah.
That was a great show.
Yeah, it was a great show. The last one that we did last month was solid too.
Yeah.
And I'm leaving it in your capable hands coming up on September 15th, I think, is the next one.
Well, we need a low point to balance things out anyway, so that's apt.
Yeah. So next roast battle round is going to be this coming Sunday on September 9th at McGill's, 8 p.m. So we went over the lineups there. You can look it up on it's on Facebook. Just Google it. But this Friday, Mark Splood is coming out of retirement, so he's going to be headlining No Jokes Barred Deluxe at O'Leary's.
So that's going to be a great one.
It's going to be a great show. Want to see lots of people out. Arif Hussein is hosting. Drake Tobias is opening it up, and then I'm going to be in the middle there, and then Splood's going to take us home. And that's all that I got going on. You got anything quick that you want to throw in there?
Just Sunday After Dark every 2 weeks, even after the roast battles are done. Arif and I are starting a project that we're going to record tomorrow. It's just us making jokes and looking at internet videos. We're going to call that, I think, Forget It, Jake, It's Waterloo. Okay. So that should be coming out soon. And just look me up on Twitter, look me up on Facebook, at Mayor Cigar Face Twitter, Facebook, Brian Godsoe. I post about all my shows all the time.
I'll put this all in the notes.
Okay.
All right. Well, that's our show. St. John Forward Radio every Monday night, 9 p.m., 107.3 Local FM, localfm.ca, or you can hear the podcast in the back episodes, johnforward.podbean.com. That's the show.
Come and get it because it's hot.